Hey, friends, thanks for tuning in to yet another exciting episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Crander Q, a.k.a. my real name, the number one beard in podcasting. That's a self-proclaimed title there, Professor Bear. So if someone comes after me, you got to protect me there. But we are excited to have him here today, joining us to talk about his wrestling experiences, his wrestling fandom, and all of his stories. Now, without further ado, let me introduce to you Professor Bear. How you doing today, sir?
I am doing great now. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. It's a beautiful, I guess, post 4th of July here. The dogs didn't go crazy from the fireworks, but the cat did piss them off. So that's pretty good in this household today. So.
Oh, that's great to hear. You know, sometimes you got to have that rival to get you motivated to do what you got to do.
Oh, yeah. And like I told you off camera, we got that new dog. He's doing great. He's acclimated, just trying to get that potty training under control so the wife doesn't yell at me. So,
right.
And that's another inside joke here. I forgot to tell you, Randy, I talked about the wife. It's been a while. Take a shot, buddy. So because I used to talk about her all the time on the podcast. So.
Oh, man. Hey,
yeah.
If it wasn't for my wife now, I wouldn't be doing this right now. So I definitely understand and I always give her flowers.
Mm-hmm. And make sure you guys do buy them flowers because, you won't live it down and they will remind you and remind you and remind you. Luckily, I'm one of those guys that does that. But let's just jump into the wrestling here. Professor Bear, what are those first earliest wrestling memories you have?
Oh, wow. One of my first memories, my father, as my daughter called him, Old Bear, he was a big wrestling fan.
Okay.
And he would take us to the local wrestling here. And I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. I have all my life. And he would take us every other week, something like that. And one of the kind of memories I have is we went to a particular show and my brother, I have two brothers and a sister, and we were all at the show and we were going in and one of the local wrestlers stopped my brother and he's like, "Hey, I need you to do me a favor." My brother like, "Okay." He gave him a chain. And he's like, "I need you to hold this chain until I get it." And luckily enough, we had ringside seats. And brother like, "Cool, no problem." Well, the match went on and they were going at it. And the ref gets knocked down and he jumps out the ring and tells my brother to give him the chain. My brother gives him the chain. He gets back in the ring. And when I tell you he beat the tar out the opponent, blood everywhere.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that was one of my earliest somewhat memories because I can't remember the match in total, but between some of the memories and my brother telling me the story, that was one of my earliest memories.
Now, was that Junkyard Dog or was that Hercules or?
No, it was one of our local wrestlers.
Okay.
It was Ron Wright, I believe.
Okay.
Now I could be wrong, but I believe it was Ron Wright.
Very nice.
And here in Knoxville, we have a big history of wrestling. We had the NWA, we had Continental Wrestling. So we here in the South, wrestling is real. You say wrestling is real, you ready to get into a fight, a fist fight, and you better be ready. So that was one of my earliest memories.
Did you have any early favorites that you remember from those early years? Anybody that you gravitated towards or didn't like? For me, like $1 Million Man as a kid, I just hated him for what he did to Dusty Rhodes. But was there any wrestlers that you were absolutely in love with or hated?
Oh yeah, definitely. Here, like you said, the American Dream, baby. I mean, how can you not love the American Dream? Thunderbolt Patterson was a big guy here. Tommy Rich, Tommy Wildfire Rich, one of my favorites. Somebody that I dislike, but he grew to respect and love was the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Okay.
Harley Race. Oh man, couldn't stand Harley. What was and I get so excited when I get to talk, and sometimes I blank out on names and stuff, but he's a he's a WWE Hall of Famer, played football. Ernie the Cat.
Oh,
Lad.
okay. Yep.
And I tell you a quick funny story about that one. I actually got to meet him.
Okay.
My parents loved to play cards, and they would always go over a friend's house to play cards. And this particular time, it was me and my mother. And back then you could leave a kid in the car.
Yeah.
So we went in and was sitting there. I think my mom or my dad, I can't remember who said it, but they was like, "Hey, you're gonna get to meet Thunderbolt Patterson." I'm like, "Oh yeah, woo!" So we go in. I'm all happy. Go around the corner. It's Ernie the Cat Lad, and it's like, ugh. And he's like, "Nice to meet you." I'm like, "Well, it ain't nice to meet you."
That's funny.
And of course,
I mean, it's still a big celebrity, but you're just like, not that guy.
I was so disappointed and got popped in the back of the head for being disrespectful because my parents didn't play that. But
that's great.
And I can look back at that and think, oh my God, I was blessed to meet that man, and that's how I greeted him. Wow,
that's great. So was the wrestling kind of like a family affair, or was it just kind of you, your brother, and dad, or how'd that all work? Because for me, my parents never watched it. My dad still gives me a hard time about it, but at least he lets me sponsor his car show book. But how about for you? Was your family kind of all into it?
Yeah, it was all into it. Even my mother, who didn't really care for it, she watched it. And, and back then, when it was 6:05, Georgia Championship Wrestling on Saturdays, you did not make noise in our house.
Okay.
If you did, you knew it was going down. Dad was not playing that.
Yeah.
You was either quiet or you were out. There was no in between. So a lot of times I just sat with my dad and watched and got to learn the formula of wrestling. And that's why I think right now I'm such a big historian of wrestling, because I got to learn from a lot of great wrestlers and learning the psychology and learning how to work fans. For me, if I didn't get that, I don't think I could be who I am today.
Okay. So now, have you been a fan your whole life? Did you have any gaps? Kind of lead us on that journey of, going from those early days with Continental Wrestling, NWA, to kind of more the Attitude Era. Were you still kind of invested and involved at that time?
Yes, I have never blanked out of wrestling in my entire life. Even the peaks and the low times, I always watch wrestling. The only time I didn't put 1,000% into it when I was getting out of high school and I started working and hanging out with my friends. I would miss some episodes, but I would still catch it when I could here and there. But really, I never got out of it. From Continental to Bullet Bob Armstrong and his kids to the Fullers, oh man, Wildcat Wendell Cooley, the Dr. Tom Pritchard, to the exotic Adrian Street. I followed it. And when I got a chance to, my brothers and sisters, all of them moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
So when I got to go visit them, I was in wrestling heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had every type of wrestling from all over the country. So I would go visit and I could sit and watch wrestling. This one particular show don't forget, they were 6 to 7 hours and they showed different wrestling from all over the country.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, Portland, they showed World Class. They showed AWA. It was just all different territories. So I really enjoyed that and got to know. And it was cool too, because I got to see wrestlers that I was familiar with from the Georgia territory.
Right.
Gone to a different territory. So I knew them and like, oh, okay. Wow, that's where they went. So I got a lot of different variations of wrestling, learning that Southern wrestling was not the end all be all, but it was so much different wrestling.
And you got to hit it on the head there. You're at a time where the fans today are pretty toxic left and right, but mostly I feel like it's just trolls. But you're enjoying other promotions without caring what's happening for attendance, storyline. You're just diving into that wrestling passion, and that's what's great. And that's what's needed to get back in here is people just enjoy the wrestling because we have so much of it right now. There's so much content at our fingertips. Before we lose it, we might as well embrace it. But to hear you say that, even a time back then that you were so excited to watch different promotions and stuff, it's just great to hear, especially for the love of the business and the love as a fan. Was there any promotion that stuck out as your favorite back then?
Well, it definitely the NWA in the 80s was my end all be all. Now, me and my father, we watched. We got watch World Class, the Von Erichs, man.
Nice.
Love them. And luckily enough, got to see them through ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
We got to, what else did I watch? AWA. Okay. Watched them. Had a Continental. Every blue moon, I got a chance to watch Memphis, because being in East Tennessee, we didn't get a lot of Memphis stuff, but every now and then we would get it. And going over to Memphis with family visiting and stuff, I got to watch it. So
very cool. Very cool.
Knew the King, Jerry Lawler, Jeff Jarrett. And one of the things about Jeff Jarrett, why I respect him and easily understand why people can dislike him, I respect him and love him just for the simple fact I know he started in Memphis, and the way he built himself up to the person he is today, man, you got to respect that, man.
I love Jeff Jarrett, so I'm willing to die on that hill. I always liked that he beat people over the head with a guitar. That's before I really saw the Honky Tonk Man doing it. But I like Jeff Jarrett. I always just thought he was a smug heel in WCW. So you ain't going to get no complaints from me on Jeff Jarrett, and the longevity of him too. I mean, he does a lot of smart things. People hate him because he's old and it's just not that big prominent name, but he's very smart to the business.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember getting a chance. Sorry to cut you off there. We'll get you back to here. I got to meet him in Hornswoggle's promotion in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And I remember telling him that we weren't able to bring our NWO chairs in for him to sign. And he's like, well, that's bullshit. A super great guy. Got to meet him. I hope I can meet him again because I'd love just to be like, dude, you need to put out a book. You need to put out more about you and your family's, stuff into, video stuff, not just this watered down WWE programming. Like, it'd be cool to see him and, his family get some more recognition for what they contribute to the wrestling business. But go ahead there. Sorry.
No, I was going to say the similar thing that people do not realize how much he's contributed to the business. And if it wasn't for Jeff and TNA, him and his father started that.
Yep.
And it gave an alternative to the WWE. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that competition is great because you're not invested in one thing. You get varieties. And again, wrestling is so inverse with so different styles of wrestling, and you need that variety. And I thought this was funny too, that we're on this subject. It would lead to what me and the Wrestling Network Society does. We actually have an app now where we have different wrestling content creators. We have independent promotions. We have documentaries. We have a 2K promotion. We have action figure promotions. We have gaming bios. It's very different, a lot of different things, but just based on wrestling. And if you're into just movies, say you love movies with wrestlers in it, we have a ton of those.
Nice.
We have, like I said, documentaries on wrestlers. We have other content creators who've done interviews with wrestlers, who give their point of view on their love of wrestling. And it's just for wrestling fans. Again, like we were talking about where I was in Atlanta and there was a channel that just taught wrestling, where this is what we're giving to the business now.
Very nice.
A one-stop shop of different wrestling content. And it was a dream of the owner, Brady Owens. He is the mastermind behind all of this. And he started back in 2017. And he tried to build this, and he was doing it all. And he quickly realized he couldn't do it on his own. So he would go back and forth. He'd try and then he'd stop, try and stop. Well, one day he realized he needed a team with him that had the same vision as he did. So in 2021, he started putting post out on Facebook and different wrestling pages of wanting to have people to join him on the podcast.
Nice.
So I saw it and I thought to myself, I don't know. So I went back into my living room. My my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, I told her what I saw. And she was like, okay, why ain't you sending something in? I'm like, babe, nobody ain't gonna want to hear me talk about wrestling. She's like, please, you'll debate against anybody. If God came down right now, you would tell him, Lord, no disrespect, and all due respect to you, I think you're wrong. Or I think you hadn't looked at this point of view. So I sat there for a minute. I was like, I wouldn't do well. Yeah, I probably would. So I decided, let me go in here and send a little video to him, and He got back with me less than an hour. We had a great conversation. Before I knew it, I was part of the team.
Very cool.
And we just been rolling since then.
Onward and upward, right?
Man, and the one thing that really stuck out to the conversation, he was telling me, and he's like, look, I'm telling you, if we stick to this, it's going to happen. And it's going to happen when we least expect it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to pop. And it's like, okay, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I got you. You know, I'm not calling you a liar, but I ain't saying I'm drinking the Kool-Aid either. And then all of a sudden, after a few episodes, it's like, hey, we're getting some views.
Yeah.
Like, hey, okay. Then one day, hey, we got over 100 views. What the world? And like you said, just that constant work, keep grinding, and stuff has just popped off ever since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we always say when I have other podcasters and people on here, it's not just hitting record, it's interview, scheduling. I know we had some issues there when I got the new dog. It's making sure that people actually show up because they think, oh, well, it's just a small podcast. If I don't show up, no big deal. Well, to us, it is because that's our content. It's, constantly being on the social media, trying to get your name out there. Me, I feel like I've got some few tricks that I use that seem to work. Right now, I'm a little more focused on my sister's show, Show Me the Collectibles, because I got my page to where I kind of want it for right now. But yeah, and plus the community that you build. You've worked with our mutual friend, Mike D., who we absolutely love here from Wrestling in the 313. Check that out on Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe. Tell them Crandall Q sent you. There's a plug, Mike. You owe me $5. Just kidding, brother. You don't owe me nothing. But it's so fun to getting to meet other people because just like this show, just like wrestling, there's such a vast amount of it out there. And I'm always plugging it on every show that there's podcasts about wrestling style, Ego Drip podcast. There's wrestling about charity work, Stanley Kerr and Wrestling with Heart. There's wrestling, on Mayhem Media, the Joe Monroe Show, Don't Say the F Word, Peaches and Power Bombs, FTR, Cruising with Kayfabe, and they're all different. And then you have Friends of the Squirt Circle that's just trash. You don't want to listen to that one. No, I'm kidding, everybody. That's my show. My bad. But no, this is the fan perspective where we talk about fans or talk to fans about being fans. We don't really get into the current product because that's every other show. So it's just so fun to see all the wrestling content out there. And you guys are putting it all at someone's fingertips. And no disrespect, but like the older generation, they're not going to go out and search it. They're going to try to find that one thing that's convenient and easy for them to use. And I'm kind of in that where I don't want to just sit there and spend 20 hours searching for local shows or local content. I just want to go to one spot and have it so then I can do about my business,
Exactly. And in no disrespect, hey, because next week I turn 51.
You don't get there on 35, sir.
I don't want to be sitting here looking and searching and searching, but just so happen that's what I do. And I do it not just for myself. I do it for everybody to make it easier. The one thing about wrestling now that I really look at is I believe we're back into the territorial days, except you have so much better things in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually watch a promotion in California.
Yep.
And love that promotion, and you can watch it. Well, back in my day, you had to either have cable or you had to go visit that town or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we are very blessed. And so I wanted, well, not just me, but the whole wrestling society, we want to make it so much easier for everybody. We want to content. Like you said, there is so many different podcasters. There's different types of podcasts for wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So why not have it stationary where you can choose? And it's, again, another funny segue. We just got our website going yesterday. And one of the things on our website, we have a pod tent room. a podcast room, excuse me, and we have different listing of podcasts.
Very cool.
And not only do we have a list, once you click on it, it takes you to their site.
Even better.
You can listen. You can find the podcast that appeals to you. These are just some of the ones that we like and think are very cool. And if you join our website, we have a thing. If you have a podcast, you can send us your link, and we will review it and may add you. We just want to have wrestling fun for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And like me and you talk about the negativity now and the ratings and all that. It doesn't matter. It's wrestling. And as easily and accessible as wrestling is now, fans need to understand all the negativity could end up bringing that our beloved sport be gone.
Right.
So again, there's nothing wrong with having your opinion. There's nothing wrong with debating with someone, but to be nasty, to be disrespectful, there's no point in it, because in the end, we're all right and we're all wrong. It's opinion.
Yep.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, enjoy the wrestling while we have it. And man, there's just so much out there.
I mean, yeah, you could be a huge fan of, say, I know you love Dusty Rhodes, but then you probably don't like that I like The Miz. But the next match, we're both pulling for, say, Dustin Rhodes because of that connection to Dusty. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I always tell people, too, I'm like, you have to realize that a lot of that stuff that people post, they're using it to trap you and come in there and comment and start a debate and get you upset, a.k.a. trolls. So you have to also be, smart enough to be like, not worth my time. They're just trying to get me, to help do your part with not arguing with people on the social media. And I would love a social media app where it's just statuses and it's pictures and you can't even comment. It would just be Instagram and Facebook connected, but you can't comment. You can just like it, love it, laugh, or sad. That's it. No comments, because you don't need that negativity. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
yeah.
You don't need necessarily that, I guess, reassurance there. That would be the place where you go, where you just want to share your point of views and then scroll on with it, Where, yes, Facebook, yes, I need those interactions. I need those questions to generate engagement so my page moves up, on the algorithm. But, just a social media where you can post your feelings, post your pictures, and no one can say anything to you except for give you a little heart, a little laughing, a little sad, and then you can move on. 3 basic emojis, so. And if you want to say congratulations, you can actually text that person that and say, hey, congratulations on the new baby, or, have your opinions one-on-one versus, 500,000 people saying that, oh, AEW can't fill an arena. Well, they can. You're just looking at pictures that aren't truthful, so.
Well, and again, one of the biggest things, like this year, I was blessed to go to an AEW event.
Okay.
The arena wasn't full. I don't care. I got to see Will freaking Ospreay in a match.
Right.
It was fun. The people who was there, we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like AEW, don't watch it.
Yeah, don't talk about it. If you don't like it, why waste your time with it,
Exactly. Just like WWE. They're in the boom right now. They're just super hot. Well, a few years ago, they were sitting where AEW is now. So,
and that competition made them step up their game, right, folks? So
exactly.
So
listen
to the professor. He knows what he's talking about.
Again, I just It's too much love for me in this sport.
Yep.
And as I tell anybody that will listen to me, I never thought I would be blessed to be able to contribute to a sport that has contributed to my life. That when I was down and out, it brought me up. When I thought everything was the worst in the world, I could turn and watch Hulk Hogan get dropped on his head. That put a smile on my face.
Thank you, Taker. No, I'm just kidding.
It's just, and I have so many different memories and getting to meet wrestlers and to have fun with them. And it's just, it's an amazing thing for me, and I want to give back and show the proper respect. I got to meet a wrestling legend's son and his mother.
Okay.
I can't mention the name, but I got to meet them. And one of the first things I told them, I gave them their flowers and thanked them because for everything they went through to sacrifice their husband, dad, for us to be entertained, to make us happy, to give us something to look for outside of our lives. I thank them. I thank them for their sacrifice and showed them the proper respect and love, because not everybody can do that. Not everybody's willing to do that. No. So, and the gentleman, he's like, I never looked at it that way. No one's ever said that to us. And they thanked me. I said, y'all have no reason to thank me. That's why I'm thanking y'all. And that the wife actually got a divorce. But again, I thanked her and I apologize for her everything she had to go through, but thanked her for being strong enough and being willing to sacrifice that. And a lot of fans do not realize or look at the other side of this business. People sacrifice, they lose their families, they get addicted to drugs, all this different stuff that their family has to go through. Show them respect. Even if you don't like them. Like I can tell you, I'm probably next to Bobby the Brain Heenan, God rest his soul. I'm the worst Hulk Hogan hater in the place. But on top of that, I can tell you I dislike Hulk. But if I ever met him, I would show him the proper respect and give him his flowers because of what he did. If he didn't say your prayers, eat your vitamins, that brought something out of me that, like, I just really don't like you. You're fake. But I respected what he's done for the business, even the backstage politicking and all that. I still respect him and thank him for being a vessel for the business.
Yeah, we wouldn't be sitting here talking if it was, over and done with back in the 80s and 70s, 80s, so.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't realize, let me tell you a quick side story. The reason I am Professor Bear, my daughter calls me Bear. So when we were getting together with the team, Brady is like, hey, do you mind if we call you Bear? I said, well, let me check with my daughter. If she says it's okay, then we can do it. So she was like, it was okay. And he was like, you know what? Nah, you ain't Bear, you Professor Bear. You seem like you know just about everything in wrestling. Like, I don't know everything, but yeah, I'm a pretty good
you've been around the block.
The business. So that's how I got the name Professor Bear. And so a lot of people don't know, like Hulk Hogan. a lot of people don't realize that Hulk Hogan was a big star in the AWA.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a heel there. They think the first heel turn Hogan did was with the NWO, and that's not true.
Yep.
And it's like little things like that. I like to give facts and give people who don't know, let them understand the business and people. It's just fun for me.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, I'm not trying to age you here, is because you have that early history, whereas me, I was peak Attitude Era to now, so you got a few years on me there. One thing I do want to touch on before I forget is you brought up how wrestling brought you out of different places when you were sad or, all that. And it makes me think, like, when I first, because I'm a huge movie guy, I love movies. One of the first box set I bought was that Eddie Guerrero one that they released. And that was prior to a breakup. So every time I pull that out, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the breakup DVD, but it's a great DVD. And the shirt that I'm wearing, I got this from my wife, Randy Take a Shot, so it's, each thing has a sentimental meaning behind it. And it also has wrestling. So it holds even more memories, Yeah, granted, I bought that DVD set after a breakup. I'm not going to get rid of it, but it reminds me that helped me get through that, so that is one box set that I'll hold on to, even when DVDs hopefully don't disappear. But, that wrestling memories and nostalgia, that's one thing I like. And to hear that come from you too is just awesome to hear how wrestling has helped you just like it's helped me. I'm an indie guy, through and through, but when I get to see the wrestlers that I've had contact with, it's like seeing an old friend because they ask me how my life is, because they're actually invested in my time and not just to make a buck, so, but you also bring up the thanking the families and stuff. And that's a new perspective for me. I never really thought of that. And that's something as fans that we should kind of keep in mind. Yes, they have lost and gained a lot by contributing to this business. And we need to remember that before we say they can't wrestle or they don't know what they're doing or that their career is in the dumps. No, you're just an a-hole, so.
Well, and with that being said too, if you cheer like they can't wrestle, you don't like them, and I don't think that's a problem because they're supposed to draw emotion out of us. So now this is just my own opinion. I don't think that's a problem. I think the problem is when you get in their personal business, when you insult their family, when you're talking about that's where you went over the line. And I remember this another incident. We went, me and my buddies, we went to an NWA fan fest, and we had front row tickets, and they were having a match. Can't remember who the guys were, but we were sitting there booing them, making fun, just cracking up, being buttholes. And the wrestler came up to me, and I didn't think it. I'm in my just joking phase, didn't think nothing about it. He jumped at me. Before I knew it, I immediately got defensive because I thought he was about to hit me. I'm like, and I put up my fist, and he's like, ha, you paid for this, and walked up the ring, got in the ring. And I thought to myself afterwards, I did pay for this. And he got me in a way that made me think that point on, okay, that was good. He got me good. And I wish we would have got it on tape so people could have saw it. Even with me being embarrassed, that was funny and I loved it.
Yeah. And when I say when they say they can't wrestle, it's more the message boards versus being at an actual show. Because I've been known a time or two. I like to think I have a little feud with Ken Anderson. I'll have to send you a TikTok here later. And he got in my face like that. And I was like, all right, he's going to do the little pump fake thing. And using my superpower, lazy eye, I just remember focusing on whatever was behind him. And he did that thing. And I just stared right through him because I wasn't paying attention to him. But I got you that time, Mr. Anderson. But heckling is different than being an online troll and a complete jerk. Some of my favorite memories are, heckling, local wrestlers, and then after the show, creeping up all like scared to ask for an autograph or a picture because you enjoyed it. Me and my buddy Raz, this manager, for a solid 15 minutes during his match, and we were just like, "What's your favorite color? What do you like to eat outside of the ring?" Like just the stupidest thing. And like, "Oh, how do you style your hairs on the weekends?" He's bald. We just were going after him with the dumbest questions. The people behind us started yelling things like, "Do you wear your left shoe on your right foot?" Just the dumbest things. And this guy's just like, "You guys aren't funny. We know we're not funny, but you keep looking over at us and walking away when you get on our side of the ring because we won't shut up." And then after we left, we saw him. We're like, "Hey, man," he's like, "You guys, like, we really appreciate your body of work. Thank you for making it even more fun by being out there." He's like, "Don't talk to me." I was like, "Oh," and I was like, he's like, "I'm just kidding, man. I'm glad you had a good night." I was like, "Oh, okay." 5-second fear, but he's a big dude, bald, scary, big dude. And here I am like, "What's your favorite color? Do you color inside the lines?" Probably not, just that dumb stuff. Like, your mom probably took you to public school and packed your lunch, you bum, it's little things like that,
Yeah.
But there is a local guy, he wears white tights, and his name is, he's not local, he's in Colorado, but he's Dak Draper, and he wore white gear. And one of the other shows that I had been on, they called him Diaper Dak because it was white. So then at the show, he's wearing the white gear again. I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm going to steal someone else's taunt and start chanting Diaper Dak." And then it turned into Diaper Daddy. And before that show, I had made a sign for Little Nate. It had a poop emoji that said "Little Nate hate section" with a poop emoji. Well, then we all folded down the sign, and it literally looked like, it said "Little Nate hate section." He folded down the sign, it had the poop emoji in section. So basically, it was shit section. And everybody started holding up the signs that I had passed out earlier. And he's like, "Where the hell did everybody get the signs?" Just magically. And we're calling him Diaper Daddy, Diaper Dak. Oh, that place was so loud, I lost my voice. And then I had to go beg for a photo because I didn't know when I was going to see him again. He's like, "You." And I was like, "I'm sorry. Can I get a picture in an 8x10? "Yeah, but I'm charging you double." "Okay." $10. But, it just those memories that are so great because a lot of us like to think we're part of the show, me included. But, nothing wrong with calling a guy Diaper Daddy or Diaper Dak. So shout out to Dak Draper there, Ring of Honor star, who put up with me for a solid 10 minutes during his match. So
I was sitting here thinking the whole time, like, I know that name. I know why do I know that name?
Yeah. And I like him too. Like I like he's a good wrestler. He's got a great build. He's got a bulldog. And growing up we had those. So I like him. It's just if you verse one of my favorite wrestlers, I have to bring you down lower on the like spectrum. So unfortunately, you're like, not even in my top 50. So I have to boo you because you're wrestling my favorite wrestler, So
Right.
And anybody that wrestles Darren Corbin here, our sponsor at Friends of the Squared Circle, they always get a quick boo because, he's our sponsor. So give a shout out to Darren Corbin there real quick. You can check him out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter /X. I'm not changing the graphic because eventually it'll get bought out. TikTok, as well as patreon.com/Darren Corbin, which here started just $1. But Darren Corbin's a great guy. Number one asshole in the wrestling scene up here, and I could not be excited to have him as a friend and sponsor. So there's my little plug.
I tell you, one of the people when I started this and was going around to some of the local promotion here where I live, one of the sweetest, gentlest persons I have ever met. And to this day, when I run into her, she always does something for me. That's the NWA Women's World Champion, Oh my God. When I tell you, let me get this picture. She
That's pretty awesome.
She is such a sweetheart. And the first time I met her, we were talking, and I was like, "Yeah, I started a podcast." And she's like, "Really? I could add for you." I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "Sure." And she cut us a promo that was just, it was just amazing. Kenzie is such a sweet person.
Mhm.
Her sister, her father, they are just really great people. And I ran into her at a show a month and a half ago. And she was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" I said, "I'm doing great." I said, "Man, we're picking up steam. We got an app." She's like, "Well, you know what that means." I was like, "What?" She's like, "I got to cut you another ad." And
That's
she
awesome.
cut me another one right on the spot. And I always give shout outs to her
Mhm.
because, again, she didn't have to do it. She never has to do it.
Right.
And she just really is just such a sweet person, her and her sister, and they're just great. And I love her for that and thank her for that.
Awesome. Well, we'll make that a segue, Professor Fair. Where can the people find you? Where on the interwebs do you want to plug? I kind of lost my train of thought mid sentence there, but here's the time for you to plug that stuff before we wrap it up here. But let the people know where to find you and about that great app.
So, our app, I'm going to start with the app. You can find our app on Roku, on Amazon Fire Stick, on Apple TV, and it's under WSN. You easy. And the best part, I forgot the best part of the app. It's free.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it doesn't have Friends of the Squared Circle, so that's a bonus point. No, just kidding. Go ahead. It's free. We love free here, folks.
It is free, and man, y'all definitely need to check us out. I'm telling you, I will be very, very surprised if we don't have something that you would enjoy. Now, you can find us on Facebook, the Wrestling Society Network. We have over 2,500 members. Please join us, whether you're a wrestler, you're a promoter, you're a ref, whatever. Join our site and promote your stuff. We beg you to promote your own thing, promote your local stuff. We want wrestling out there. So don't feel like you can't say anything about what you do and your promotions or promotion you like. We encourage it. And on top of that, our website, it is the Wrestling Society Plus. That is the name of the website. And you can find it under thewrestlingsociety.com. I'm telling you, we have so much coming and in store. Quick, we're coming out with a mobile app. We're coming out with a magazine, physical and digital.
If you need models, I'm available. I got that face for radio.
We got you. I'm telling
See
you.
how he's trying to just move along, folks? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, whoa, get all bouncy over here.
Hey, look, we already got a couple of people who are willing to do spreads, so maybe we can talk afterwards about.
I'm a big boy. I got that Otis body. Yeah. I'll take up 2 pages by eating some tacos with we'll talk later.
So please, and as always, I always thank you, the wrestling fans, for being able to do what I do now, because without you, there is no me. And thank you for being a wrestling fan, and continue support wrestling. If it's your local, if it's the big ones, support it. And please try not to be so hateful about it.
Right. And you can be hateful about Joe Monroe's second place beard. But other than that, be nice to all your friends across social media platforms. Well, Professor Bear, if that's the end of it, I am thankful for you coming on here. We're going to try something new with this outro package. Again, if you want to be just like Professor Bear and be on an upcoming episode of Friends of the Squared Circle, hit us up on Facebook as well as YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment if you want. It's an okay podcast, but we want to hear from you. We want to hear those stories. And it's your boy, Crander Q. Crander Q out.